Hello Twins fans. Today I want to look at Carlos Correa and how he's doing so far in 2024, especially compared to his 2023 season. But before we get into that, thank you for tuning in to another episode of From Lee to Limestone. I'm Matt Lenz with Twins Daily. Okay, let's dive in. So far this year, Carlos Correa has been phenomenal for the Minnesota Twins. Although we're probably never going to get that early to mid-20s Carlos Correa that was just an elite hitting shortstop leading the Houston Astros. This is the Carlos Correa that we paid for ahead of the 2023 offseason. And in 2023, he might have had his career worst year, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But let's just get to the surface level data here in 2024. So most notably to me, Carlos Correa is posting an OPS that is about 60 points higher this year compared to last year. And a big part of that is he is posting a walk rate that is significantly more than what we're used to seeing. And that's obviously boosting up the OBP, which is boosting up the OPS. And that's how we get to a 60-point higher OPS from last year. But on top of that, we start looking at some of his batted ball data. Now, what's interesting is to this point, he only has one home run. And we'll maybe kind of talk about why that is, despite the batted ball data that you're seeing here on Savant. Now, here I want to kind of compare 2022 to 23 and then now here in 24. And once you get to 24, you see that his sweet spot percentage is the 99th percentile, and that just means that his launch angle on a batted ball is between 8 and 32 degrees. His hard hit rate is in the 72nd percentile, and his barrel rate is in the 61st percentile. And that's right around his career norm for his barrel rate. Now, why aren't we seeing home runs? And I think we have a little bit of an answer here. Right now, Carlos Correa is posting the second lowest launch angle of his career at 9 degrees. The only time it was lower was his first full season in Major League Baseball back in 2016. So I don't know if that's an approach change or what, because back in 2022, his launch angle was 11.6 degrees. That was good for 22 home runs. Last year, 2023, 18 home runs, and his launch angle was 10.6 degrees. So 1 degree lower, 4 less home runs. This year, we're looking at a 1.6 degree decrease in launch angle. And again, so far, we only have 1 home run to date. Now, other thing that's noteworthy, which might explain kind of putting things together here, is that his home run to fly ball rate is 10 points lower than his career norm. But if the launch angle is decreasing, again, we might see some correlation there. Just something to keep an eye on as the season progresses. Hopefully, we see some positive regression there. Again, his batted ball data is otherwise very good, but just something that's kind of interesting of note. And lastly, in terms of batted ball data and why we're seeing an increase in that OPS and why even his BABIP has returned to career norms. Last year, his BABIP was about 40 points lower than his career norm, which again, that starts to explain a little bit of his OPS, increase in OPS this year. But he's hitting more line drives than ever. So he's actually hitting quite a bit fewer ground balls, a little bit fewer fly balls as well, but it's the line drives that we're seeing more of. And again, when you start putting together the batted ball data, that all makes sense. So let's look even deeper under the hood. What's going on? What has changed for Carlos Correa other than maybe his launch angle? Well, first of all, probably the easiest answer, he's healthy. Despite the intercostal injury that costed him about 2 weeks, he has kicked plantar fasciitis from 2023, and he is healthy entering 2024 and staying healthy again, aside from that intercostal strain. Now, I've never had plantar fasciitis, but there was many anecdotes last year about people who did, just of how painful it can be. Looking at Baseball Prospectus and their injury chart, most players miss two to 3 weeks, even longer when it comes to plantar fasciitis. And if I remember correctly, Carlos Correa took like 1 10-game IL stint, and that was about it. So he was playing through that all season as it was first reported in May. So easy answer, he's healthy now. But let's look even deeper into his approach at the plate. And I'm going to take the swing percentage from True Media here. And this is pitcher's point of view. So you see Correa on the right side of the plate here. And when you compare 2023 to 2024, just look at how much more he's just swinging. There's no extra data here. This is just straight up how often he is swinging. And what's most notable is that he is swinging more at pitches that are kind of that middle, up, and in. And now I'm going to shift to his Brooks baseball profile. Now, before I get into this, just understand that this is from the catcher's point of view. So now we've switched perspectives on you. So you see Carlos Correa on the left side of the plate now, or not on the left side, because this is the catcher's point of view. So instead of looking for that batted ball data in the upper right, like we saw with True Media, now we're looking in the upper left. And as you can see from his isolated power data, he excels on doing damage on pitches in the middle, upper, in area of the plate, which again, from the True Media data that we saw, he is swinging more in 2024 at those pitches than he did in 2023. I think that's a huge reason why we're seeing that success and why he, in 2024, is also back to obliterating fastballs. He actually didn't have a very good year hitting fastballs in 2023, and those numbers have rebounded well in 2024. And I think putting together these two graphics of his batted ball or his swing percent data from True Media and his ISO power data from Brooks Baseball, we're starting to paint the picture of what's happening with Carlos Correa in 2024 and why we're seeing this rebound. So again, in short, what's happening with Carlos Correa? He's healthy, he's being aggressive at the plate, and he's doing damage against fastballs that are kind of middle up in the zone, which is where he has excelled throughout his career. So I think this is sustainable for Carlos Correa. Hopefully we see some power regression in a positive way, but with a decrease in launch angle, just something to keep an eye on for the rest of 2024. What are your thoughts on Carlos Correa? He's still making a lot of money. We're not going to get that mid to early 20s Carlos Correa, so if you're expecting that, you're probably a little bit disappointed still in the production, but I think we have to take what we get from him, and this has been great so far in 2024. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at Lenzy2108, or let me know on YouTube, Musings from Twins Territory.